In the winter 2020 edition of What's New Massachusetts, get a sneak peek of the Boston Science Fiction Film Festival at the Somerville Theatre. We also chat with Leandra Sharron, the Assistant Festival Director. We also give details on the upcoming Plymouth ParaCon 2020. What's New Massachusetts? Here's your host, Sam Baltrusis.
And welcome to the winter edition of What's New Massachusetts. My name is Sam Baltrusis. I'm an author and journalist. Joining me for this special winter edition is Leandra Sharron. Hey!
Hello, thanks for having me.
So we're going to talk about the Sci-Fi Film Festival.
Great.
And so tell me, how did you get involved with the Sci-Fi Film Festival in Boston?
So I am just a huge sci-fi fan in general, and when I moved here, I think I saw something about it. The Somerville Theatre is the closest theater to my house, and I had been there, saw a poster for it, decided that I love science fiction, so might as well try and volunteer for the festival. Volunteering is a great way to get free tickets to festivals without having to pay for it. So yeah, figured that would be a good idea. I volunteered for 1 year, and then within the course of the next year became the assistant director. Pretty quick progression.
Yeah. Well, so when it comes to that, how has the festival changed since you've been on board?
That is a great question. I would like to think that it's way better now. No. Yeah, I mean, I think that we've really focused a bit more on uplifting female, not just female directors, but female filmmakers in general. We've done a much better job of including them and focusing on that inclusion. If that makes any sense?
Yeah, I definitely agree. So just a heads up, I'm actually the director of operations for the Sci-Fi Film Festival, so we work together. But it's a really wonderful festival. So the background, so it's running from February 7th through the 17th at the Somerville Theatre, but also multiple other venues too.
Yeah.
And so we'll talk a bit about that. But as far as it's the oldest, is it the oldest genre-specific film festival in America?
Yes, yep, the longest running, yep.
Longest running. Mm-hmm. And so with that, what is a science fiction festival?
Well, so we're specific to film festival.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, we showcase new independent science fiction films, both short films and feature-length films. We have a number of panels as well, but as far as the film section goes, we focus a lot on premieres. So if it's not a U.S. premiere or a world premiere, we try to host, East Coast, New England premieres, that sort of thing. And so, yeah, theoretically, it's a lot of things that our audiences will have never seen before. They may have an opportunity in the future to see it either on Netflix or Amazon. A lot of our films end up going on to platforms like that, but that's why it's really cool to be able to see the films before they go there. A lot of times the filmmakers are in attendance, so there's an opportunity for a Q&A with the filmmakers afterwards, or we host a number of after parties where everyone gets together, and it's a lot of fun. That's
the part that I really like. I like being able, the Q&As with the filmmakers and getting to know the sort of the thought processes and what it takes to actually make the film. Some of it's really interesting, what they have to do to make the film a reality. So speaking of the films, so there's a lot of films that are coming up for this festival, February 7th through the 17th. So tell our audience about those films, maybe a few that really kind of stick out or stand out for you.
Yeah, well, so we're all very excited about our opening night film called Proxima. Female director Alice Wincour, starring Eva Green and Matt Dillon. Definitely one of the more high-profile films that we've, I want to say, ever shown, but definitely for this year, we're really excited with it about it, which is why we're opening up with it. Yeah, really interesting source material. It focuses on one of the first, it's a fictional story, but one of the first female astronauts, I believe it's in the 50s, it's set in the 50s, who is a mother. She's training at the European Space Station, and she'll be one of the first female astronauts to go into space. And she has a small daughter, and so it's a drama. It focuses a lot on not just the pressures of being a woman and going through this rigorous physical, emotional training, but also what that's like to be a mother while you're doing that, and the risks that are associated with it, and how do you talk about that with your 8-year-old child who's afraid. And so it's really it's a beautiful story. And then right after that, we're following up with kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, a film called Alien Addiction, which is a comedy.
I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, that one's going to be really good. Lots of Kiwi humor. It's a New Zealand film, so yeah, lots of just really, really silly stuff.
And just so for our audience, like, so what does Kiwi humor mean?
It's a term for New Zealand humor specifically. It's kind of been coming into the limelight a lot more with Taika Waititi, who you all might know as the director of Jojo Rabbit, which has gotten a lot of acclaim this year from all of the award ceremonies and that sort of thing, and for good reason. I mean, it's a prime example of Kiwi humor, and that's a lot of what we're going to see in Alien Addiction as well.
So, like, kind of the general synopsis for Alien Addiction, because I saw the trailer, I'm like, what is this about?
I think they do that on purpose because there is a twist, and I won't give it away. One part that's like really, really a funny premise for the whole story, but it's about two aliens that crash land on Earth. And it's a group of like stoner dude bro friends, and one of the characters specifically who finds the aliens and befriends them, and they have these crazy adventures. But then there's also this this paleontologist reporter who's trying to track them and like expose them to the world, and you can imagine the madness that ensues.
So, as the assistant director, are you able to see a lot of these films before they actually air?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I try to see all of the feature films. The short films are a little difficult. I mean, we have, 100 films altogether, so I definitely try and see as many of the short films as possible, but absolutely all of the feature films I have seen.
All right, so let's run a clip on Alien Addiction.
Far away in a small town lived Rico, where life was all about simple fun.
Oh, my name's Rico, but you can call me Beast.
And where the rules were different.
We can do whatever we want. We are in the middle of nowhere.
Footage has emerged of the large fireball that lit up the sky at 3:30 today in the Waikato region.
Look at this. Johnny, can you see that?
They're out there.
Who's out there?
Aliens.
I think I saw something.
Sometimes I wonder if he's crazy like his auntie.
I seen an eyeball in the toilet. It was swimming around in the toilet. It swam up, looked at me, and then swam away again.
What, did it pop up in the toilet and say hi?
Soon, everything will change. A New Zealand film like no other.
I've never met aliens before. Oh, wait, do you guys want to tour of the hood? I'll take you for a ride.
Where did you meet these aliens?
They're here for a good time, man. They're just here to have fun.
I think you guys are like my best mates.
But is this real or a hoax?
Mr. McIntosh has made an official announcement that he has found extraterrestrial life or aliens.
I, Peter McIntosh, have proven once and for all that we are not alone.
Alien Addiction.
And welcome back to What's New Massachusetts. I'm talking to Leandra Sharron, the assistant director of the Sci-Fi Film Festival. Okay, so this year we have a new venue. So tell our viewers about the new setup with the short programs.
Yeah, so in years prior, we've had so many attending filmmakers, which is great. It's a great problem to have, but ultimately the venue that we were in was too small. Most of our shorts programs end up being 5 to 6 to maybe even 7 different short films within a block, and with that many filmmakers attending, it gets pretty crowded, and we don't want to be turning people away from the community. We want to show as many people as we can these films. So we decided that we needed a bigger space, and right across the street, kind of diagonally down, is the Rockwell Theatre. So we'll be in the Rockwell for the first time. It's got a much bigger audience. A lot more capacity, so we're excited about that.
So to kind of give people the idea of how the shorts are, so they're kind of like last year they were put in different groups? Is that how it's going this year as well? Or?
We actually did change that this year, so we're trying to mix it up a bit. In previous years it's been like all time travel, we'll put them all together, but now this year we're kind of like space, time travel, emerging technology, all sorts of different things all kind of in one block, and this year we're just focusing on films that complement each other, and especially in terms of length. Like we don't want to be playing 2 22-minute clips in one. We'd rather have some longer with some shorter ones, that sort of thing.
All right, that's interesting. So there's like a different approach to it. It's more about the viewing experience as opposed to having all the similar clips together kind of thing. So, you know, with that, like so people, like, are there other venues as well?
Yeah, well, so
Okay.
this year we are returning to the Charles Hayden Planetarium at the Museum of Science, which we're very excited about. Last year was our first year there. And it's a really great space, you know, being kind of like back and looking up at what they do is they put the stars in the background. It's almost like just a super starry night.
Oh, cool.
And then there's like the film itself will play there. And we're super psyched to be doing one of the beloved Joss Whedon films, Serenity, one of my favorite Joss Whedons. And then we'll have a couple Joss Whedon experts doing kind of like a live commentary during the film. So yeah, it should be really good. We're excited for that one. And then, you know, I mean, we have a number of after parties and things like that at a number of restaurants in Davis Square. So
speaking of the after parties, so to be able to have access to that, like, what do you have to do?
well, you have to either be a filmmaker, which is really hard at this point if you're not, sorry, probably not going to happen, or have a festival pass.
Okay.
I mean, there are specific after parties where you can buy a ticket to it, and that will certainly obviously get you access and you'll be able to kind of mingle with all the filmmakers. But if you're interested in more than one, it behooves you, especially if you're interested in seeing some of the films, to just buy a festival pass. That gets you access to all of the films, short films, feature films, all of the workshops, panels, and after parties as well.
So speaking of panels, I know like last year I wasn't able to really see the panels, but do we know like what's going to be in the panels this year, or?
Yeah, well, so those are still kind of developing a bit as we're realizing what filmmakers will be able to attend. But most of the panels and workshops are geared towards the attending filmmakers, and then any of the audience members who might be interested in film production as well. So I mean, we've got some on kind of editing, post-production. We are bringing in Ray Harryhausen's daughter.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so she's going to do like a master's lunch and just kind of talk about her father's legacy and that sort of thing. So that should be cool. What else are we doing? We have a female filmmaker panel. We have a number of attending female filmmakers, not just directors, but producers, I believe a DP as well, which is a cinematographer, for those of you who don't know. Yeah, so should be exciting.
So speaking of Ray Harryhausen, like that, there was a documentary last year that they had, or?
I think it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, look, why is he important to the sci-fi community?
Yeah, I mean, a number of films early on that were kind of groundbreaking in terms of special effects. You know, he made these little kind of clay monsters. I think the most memorable one is a Cyclops. That, you know, I mean, we look at it today and it looks silly, but back then people were amazed, they were blown away. So yeah, I think it's really important to honor the advancements that had to happen before we got to the point where we are today.
And when people talk about him, they say like he basically, he was responsible for their passion for getting into sci-fi film. So he definitely has a legacy, and a lot of people love his work. So you know, as far as the Somerville Theatre, as far as the venue, like, so we're the main theater, but it's going to switch up as the festival goes on, right?
Yeah, so we are lucky in that we have a number of different theaters that we can potentially be in, and depending on ticket sales, if we have enough ticket sales, if we have a film that's popular enough, we'll put it right in the big house, which is still in its original form as a 1914 vaudeville theater. So it's got these beautiful kind of like, I don't even know what the term is for them. Like the woodwork on the side is still
Yeah, I don't know,
original.
like paneling? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, whatever it is, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
and then,
it's
I mean, there's like two levels. There's a proscenium, so it's a really cool space.
And I write about ghosts, so it's also haunted too.
Right,
yeah,
that's right.
There's a flapper ghost.
Oh man.
So I love that theater. But you know, with that, so the Somerville Theatre is in a great location, Davis Square, the various restaurants in the area. Plus, there's going to be the Rockwell where the shorts are going to play as well. Is there going to be anything else at the Rockwell? Is it just going to be the shorts, or?
We'll have some panels there as
Okay.
well. And then maybe even an opening night shindig, kind of like
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
So we're gonna run a clip from one of the previous years at the Sci-Fi Film Festival. Let's run the clip now.
So that's it. That's the genesis of everything. My career. And so when we get in post, like it's a full rewrite once you're editing.
Can I tell a story? Yeah. He shot it in in his bathroom.
Welcome back to What's New Massachusetts. We've been talking to Leandra about the Sci-Fi Film Festival in Boston. Okay, so women in film. I know it's extremely important, and the fact that the festival has been very much, has embraced women filmmakers and then also local filmmakers too. So tell me, like, why is it important as someone in the community to embrace female filmmakers?
I mean, that's a hard.
That's a loaded question.
It is, and I mean, to me, it's a given. Like, I mean, it's just representation. As a female, I want to hear more stories that I can relate to more, and I don't want to see stories written about women by men. It just makes a lot of sense, and I think kind of currently, the Oscars list has just been announced, and the Golden Globes just happened, and just the kind of continual snubbing of the female directors is baffling. And so I think it's a really important subject to focus on, especially we're kind of on the ground level. We are working with a lot of filmmakers that either this is their first film or their second or third, they're newer. You probably haven't heard of them. You probably are not going to hear about them for a while to come because they're still working up their momentum. And so it's really important to get their work seen now, because this is how people rise up. This is how independent filmmakers go to Sundance. I mean, you don't just start off with your first film going to Sundance or TIFF or something like that. It takes a whole network of people. And these are people's, the pride and joy. It's their life's work. It's their full-time job. It's their overall overwhelming passion. So it's important, I believe, obviously, to do what we can.
So, women in film. So there's the directors, but there's also other other people, like actors, and so why is it when it comes to the films that play at the Sci-Fi Film Festival, is it important for the festival to nurture them or to kind of help them grow as filmmakers?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's essentially what we're doing when we agree to screen their films. We're always on the lookout for work by women, but it's not like we ever choose that over other quality content. And so I think we do a really good job of finding really high quality content by not necessarily always, like I've been saying, not just always female directors, but across the board. And female producers are a kind of a really big one that get overlooked a lot. And so, yeah, I mean, that's essentially what we're doing when we screen their films, when we host the Q&As with them afterward. And then, we don't just screen a film and then it's gone and, we never think about it. The people who have been through our festival are part of our kind of family, as cheesy as it sounds, forever. And they're going to be invited back every year. And recently we've, for the past couple of years, we've been winning this award, which I know you know about. We've been voted the top reviewed by the filmmakers that are attending the festival.
That's big. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal, yeah. Film Freeway is the online submission form that most film festivals use in order to get content submitted to their festival. And although we do also curate films, we rely very heavily on Film Freeway. And so the filmmakers who submit their film and then end up getting accepted and attending then go back and review the festival. And so the fact that they're having such a good time, that they're feeling like it was a fulfilling experience, that it was worth it, that they're rating us so highly. I mean, there's 8,000 film festivals on this website, excuse me. So it's a big deal. You know, we're not one of the biggest film festivals. We don't have the biggest budget, but what we do with it, I would like to say, is impressive.
Yeah, it is impressive, definitely. So also local filmmakers too, and I think that there's been a kind of a focus on female filmmakers and then also local filmmakers. Like, do we have any local filmmakers that are airing this year that we could think of, or?
Well, so yeah, this year they're not necessarily, as far as the features go, we have a number of short films for sure.
Right.
But as far as the features go, it's a lot of filmmakers who have ties back to the local area. One of the films that I'm the most excited about this year, and I don't know if I'm actually allowed to say that, is called it's called After We Leave, which is by director Aleem Hoysen, I believe is how you say his last name. But he currently lives in LA, but he is from New Hampshire, actually very close to Garen, our boss, to where he lives in New Hampshire. And so, you know, when they first met each other, they bonded about the storms and having to get to school through the storms in the middle of the winter and not having enough plowing and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a lot of people who have ties back to the area. And I do think it's important, especially, you know, there's more and more filming happening in Boston. It used to be quite popular. It's kind of dropped off after the 80s, and now we're getting back to where there's a good amount of filming happening in Boston. So it's really exciting, not only to showcase the work of people who used to live in the area, but also maybe it will draw them back to wanting to come back again and help more companies want to produce content in the Boston area and the surrounding area and just New England in general. So
well, we have a lot of filmmaking students. Like, they go to Emerson, Boston University. Right. There's a lot of great schools here.
Yeah.
We should be making some great films.
Yeah.
So anything else that we should for the festival this year? Oh, the marathon.
Oh, right.
Oh my gosh.
How could we forget?
I know, right?
So yeah, so it's always our festival is always 10 days, and it's always situated so that the very last day is on, well, I guess the 10th day would be President's Day.
Right.
So we always plan it so that at noon on Sunday until noon on President's Day, we have 24 straight hours of science fiction movies just continuously going. It's a huge community, huge, nerdy, just conglomerate of people who have been there for years and years. We have people who have met their husbands and wives there, people who bring their kids, and all of a sudden they're adults now, and it's great. It's a great community.
So having done it last year for the first time, people wait outside for 24 hours. They were waiting to.
In the middle of February, so this is a big deal.
I know. They're little tents, and they have their food out. I'm like, that is. They order pizza.
Dedication.
That is totally dedicated.
Yeah. And then they bring all their sleeping bags, and it's because they want to be the first people into the theater to set up their sleeping bags and get right in front of the screen, and then they camp out there for the full 24 hours. I'm not going to say it smells nice in there after that 24 hours, but
yeah, it's a little. It definitely has a different aroma to it after the 24 hours. But with that said,
I wonder how the flapper feels about that.
I know, right? She's like, get these people out of the theater. But so if they want to get more tickets to go to the websites, what's the website for the festival?
BostonSci-Fi.com.
Awesome.
Simple.
Well, Leandra, it was a pleasure chatting with you, and I'm looking forward to working with you on the festival this year.
Great.
Thank you. And welcome back to What's New Massachusetts, the special winter edition. This was a fantastic show talking to Leandra Sharron. She is the assistant director of the Sci-Fi Film Festival. You guys got to check it out. It's so much fun. So with that said, I also work on a convention. It's not really a festival, but it's a convention for paranormal people called the Plymouth ParaCon 2020. That's going to happen September 25th through September 27th in Plymouth, Massachusetts, America's hometown.
Are you standing behind Carol? If you are, just reach out and touch her left hand. Okay, thank you. sitting next to me?
The Plymouth ParaCon is a roving paranormal convention, and the goal really is to showcase Plymouth in all of its glory.
It's exciting that we have people who are internationally known for paranormal investigations who will be with us over the weekend. John Zaffis and Doogie and Porter from Haunted Towns.
What brings me to Plymouth is the opportunity to investigate, be part of this convention, and talking about being involved with the paranormal for the past 44 years.
I would say that it's a lot of darkness here, and I think it has to do with 1620, with the original founding of Plymouth and all the death and destruction that happened in the area. So there's a tension here. There's definitely a Native American tension when it comes to the energy here. However, the John Carver and I picking up a kid spirit, so kind of a playful kid spirit, and we're also picking up sort of a woman as well. So there are happy ghosts, and I think they're happy to see all these paranormal people gathering in Plymouth to communicate with them.
There are also some other things that run around sometimes up on Burial Hill that are not human. They are of the earth, called cryptids, that tend to come out and tease people a little bit every now and then. I myself have been witness to it, as have my tour groups on occasion. We've had experiences with the little creatures called pukwudgies. So they don't hurt people, they tease people, they are mischievous at best. And they just don't know right from wrong.
The John Carver Inn is very haunted. The third floor is reportedly the most haunted area in the hotel.
The sexton of the Church of the Pilgrimage used to work maintenance here at the John Carver, and told me stories about seeing people down the hallway, and when he would approach them, they wouldn't be there any longer.
There is speculation that this site was once the site of a house where medical students lived, and those medical students would grave rob up at Burial Hill, bring the cadavers down to the house, perform experiments on them, and then take them back up to bury them back up in Burial Hill.
That's the legend associated with the John Carver Inn. However, I can say as someone that deals with the paranormal that this hotel is extremely haunted.
I myself have had a personal experience here in town at the John Carver when I was bringing my son to a swim night for Boy Scouts, and we were going up the staircase and down the hallway towards the pool, and there was a gentleman in a suit walking in front of us. He took a right-hand turn into a dead-end hallway, and then when we got abreast of that spot, he was no longer there.
We're not really sure what it is. It could be the fact that it's right next to town square. Town Square has a lot of history, including Burial Hill, which is one of the most haunted cemeteries in Massachusetts, based on my experience. And then there's also the area where King Philip, his head was put on a pike right in front of Town Square. So we're in hallowed ground when it comes to the paranormal.
And tonight, after my talk, we'll be doing an investigation of room 309.
Did an investigation about 3 months ago in the room. We picked up a male sailor that's residing in that room. Things that are reported, things like move mysteriously, televisions turn on and off, lights turn on and off. So we're trying to get to the root of that tonight in our investigation. And then Saturday night, we're going to do an investigation at the Church of the Pilgrimage, which may or may not be haunted, but it's in a location that's close to Burial Hill, and there's a lot of hauntings associated with Town Square, so we're hoping that there are ghosts associated with Church of the Pilgrimage.
And what I enjoy more than anything is going in for the first time. Now, what's even more exciting to me is I'm bringing a whole group of people. I'll be with people investigating. They're going to experience it the same time I'm experiencing it. So it's the first time for me, first time for them. And if things can get validated and things occur and things happen, to me, that's a wahoo moment. Why? I don't care about what John Zaffis experiences. I care more about what other people experience, because that helps to validate it. I've seen people get scratched, pushed, shoved, seen people levitate, heard people talk in different languages and different voices, know information that they shouldn't know about. There's a lot of things that I've experienced over the course of the years that I can't rule out as just coincidence. Am I expecting paranormal activity up here in Plymouth, Massachusetts? I don't rule anything out.